What's up, good people? I'm here. I'm trying to get used to this stuff. I actually just spent about a minute talking to myself and realized that I never went live. So, if you can hear me, put a guilty or justice for Andre in the chat. That way I know that you guys can hear me. And this time I will make sure that I'm actually seeing that before I get to rambling on. I'm seeing thumbs up. Kim, good vibes. There we go. Denver Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Tiffany Barnes, Michelle Banks, Don Thurlin, Amaris. And if I'm pronouncing your names wrong, forgive me. That's usually why I try to avoid pronouncing names. Hey, Tish, we need to catch up. We definitely need to catch up. Hey, Toya, Janet, everybody's joining. Y'all ready for this tea? Y'all ready for it? Y'all ready for it? And I decided to actually go live a little earlier than planned. At first, I was going to have this somewhere around 9:30 so that I could eat dinner and take care of a few things. But knowing myself the way that I do, I was like, if I eat, the itis is going to kick in and y'all ain't going to see me. So I am here to get this out to you guys, update you on I think I got about 8 pages of notes here. And so what I'm going to do is give an overview of my notes. And just because I'm still trying to get used to like multitasking, I'm used to doing the pre-recorded videos where I completely control everything that's happening, and having the chat going and checking messages and trying to get through the content is a little much for me in the moment until I get more comfortable with this. So I'm going to go through my notes, and then periodically I'll check the questions. And then at the end, I'll go through any questions that you have, anything that I can answer. So you might want to hold your questions more towards the end. That way I don't overlook them. I'm going to try my best to keep up with the chat. But, it's all new. 2 chats are starting at 9 p.m. I don't know exactly what that means. Hey, Chelsea. And what's up to my Facebook people as well? I sometimes forget that I'm going live on multiple platforms. So what's up to our Facebook people? Okay, so what I'm going to do is move us into my notes. So today was actually very interesting, and let me turn the music off because I know that can be distracting. There we go. And y'all can still hear me. There we go. Justice for Andre, guilty. There we go. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So today was very interesting. I am very glad that I did not listen to the people in the court. They were very nice. All the staff there, all of the staff there, the marshals, all of them were extremely nice. They were extremely helpful. And what they were telling us in the very beginning was that the Judge Ross, was not allowing the public or the media into the courtroom during the jury selection. And first they were having attorneys conference, but then once the jury selection started, he didn't want any of the public in there, and he didn't want the media in there because he did not want any of the information getting out, any of the personal information getting out. And as well as the courtroom was not really large enough for the jurors and the public, because there were well over 50 jurors that they were selecting from. So what they had was a media area for those of us who they consider to be in the media. And during the morning session, we were able to be in the media area and kind of taking notes and uh, the pieces that we did know. And I sent those of you who are in my text community, you know that I was sending you guys any information that I had up to that moment. And so that's just a little plug for the VIP text community. If you become a part of that, those are the types of things that you'll get that I'm not able to get out to the public on social media or in a YouTube video. So sometimes they're just quick updates about the channel, or in this case, things that are happening with the case that I may put in our text community that I may not, be able to get out until late in the evening, like now. And so there were about 50 something jurors. And then after they actually did the first round, they started allowing some of us as media. And so we had to kind of rotate because of the lack of space. And they allowed some of us into the two at a time. They allowed in the courtroom. So in the actual courtroom where they were doing jury selection. And so I was in the second rotation of that. And so after the morning break, I was able to sit in. I was able to see the jury. The interesting part was I also was able to see face to face James Timothy Norman. And so it was very interesting seeing him live and in person because it was eerie in a way. It was eerie because, we see him on TV and we've seen the mugshot, but honestly, besides the mugshot and that post that he had on Instagram that I did a video on a few months ago, where he had his hair looking worse than mine, and don't judge my hair, but looking worse than mine. He had some kind of combination of locks and a fro, and it was looking a little suspect. But anyway, today when he came in the courtroom after the morning break, he came in and his feet were shackled. And at first I thought his hands were also shackled because they were in front of him. And I'm not sure if they were and they took the handcuffs off after he sat down, or if that was just in my mind that his hands were also shackled. But he was walking in, real slow, kind of waddling like a penguin, like they do when they're shackled. And he was dressed in a dark blue suit. It was not pinstripe, but more of a plaid dark skin suit, dark blue suit. He had on a black turtleneck. And one of the most noticeable things, and one of the VIP text community members was actually there as well. And she and I were talking about how skinny Tim has gotten. So Tim was actually looking kind of frail. Tim and I are nearly the same height. I think he's either 6'2" or 6'4" or something. And I would say Tim might be down. He's near the low 200s right now. He like that, having multiple hips and childbearing hips. You couldn't see it in that suit. Like he really, really had lost a lot of weight. And what I also noticed, and I'm looking now to comment from James, the wide hip warriors. His hips are slimmed down. So, but you could tell that on his face was very slim and almost sunken in. It was like he really had aged. Like you could see the stress on his face for sure. So in my notes, I'm not going to ramble too much because I'll never get through all these notes. So the jury selection started at approximately 9:45 a.m. and Tim was in attendance, as I just described. Tim and I actually made eye contact a couple times, and it was a little intimidating because I didn't know if he was looking because I was the only other Black person, and it wasn't at that time. It might have been maybe 5 of us, and most of them were attorneys in there. So I wasn't sure if he was just looking like, who is that dude, or if he was looking because it was like, that's that YouTube dude that talks about me. But he didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to him, and we were literally across a very large courtroom from each other. So I described what he looked like, how he walked in, waddling in. I have here in my notes that Tim, he's 43 years old, and that means he's 3 years younger than me. And he literally looked like he was approaching 50 years old, like he was about 48 or 50 years old. He really has aged. That stress has gotten to him. So then I have my notes where we talk about the jury selection. And so when I went in for after the morning break, before they allowed the potential jurors in, because this is still when they were up to 50 something jurors, before they allowed them in, the attorneys brought to Judge Ross's attention that it appeared that two of the jurors had been falling asleep. One was fully asleep, they were saying, and the other seemed to be dozing off. And so they called out those jurors' names, and the judge said that he would basically pay attention to that when they came back in. Like if they continued to fall asleep, like that would disqualify them. Then one juror was given grace for hardship. So they were saying that one juror had reported that their parent was admitted to the hospital and had taken a turn for the worse. And so they were going to give that juror, give them grace. And so a hardship grace, which meant that they would not be selected. And out of the 59 jurors, and this was something that I'm sure some of you are interested in, and we were very interested in, was what was the demographic or ethnic makeup of the jurors. So out of the 59 jurors, there were 6 that were African American. And that was pretty interesting because I'm like, I don't know. It's supposed to be a jury of your peers, and I'm not sure if Tim thought that these were his peers or not. But this is what he was looking at. And so Tim's side had, on Tim's side of the table. So the courtroom makeup was Tim's team consisted of his attorney and his attorney's assistant. And actually there were 2 other attorneys as well. So it was a team of 4 of them. But because of the smaller size of the courtroom, the other 2 attorneys were upstairs in the media area with myself for the morning because they couldn't fit in the courtroom. And with then there was Tim, and then the marshal, who it was a female marshal who was sitting next to him, and she was way smaller than him, but I guess he's shackled, and I guess she could shoot him as well. So she didn't seem intimidated with him, and they actually seemed to be conversing. Like maybe they had a little bit of a I don't know, level of friendship or relationship of sorts, for lack of a better word. And so also what I have here, so I'm gonna skip that. Let's see. So when the attorneys were trying to make their final selections with the jurors, they were able to ask them questions. So the government was able to ask them some questions. And one of the questions that they asked was, and this was like all 59 jurors back in the courtroom, they asked them, would anyone have difficulties visually or audibly as it pertains to hearing or seeing evidence that would be presented? And they were basically asking the entire room of jurors, and if they had an issue, they were supposed to raise their hand. None of them raised their hand for that. Then there was another situation where one of the African American jurors stated that they could not participate in the jury due to religious reasons. They didn't get specific, and the judge nor the attorneys asked for any specifics. So I was like, okay, we only had 6. We're down 1. So that was, we were down to 5 African American jurors out of the 59. Tim's attorney then started to ask follow-up questions to the entire group of jurors who filled the courtroom, the 59 of them. And he started to ask the individuals that he noticed had mentioned or raised their hand for who had watched the show or who had heard about the news about this whole murder for hire plot. And he was pointing them out individually and asking them to stand up, and then he would ask them what specifically, like how much of the show did you watch, and how much of the news story did you hear, did you read it, did you watch it on blogs, those sort of things. Then we had an older African American juror. She said that when he asked her directly, she said that she watched the show for one season and then was asked if she remembered Tim from the show, and she said yes. And then Tim's attorney said, "Well, what was your impression of him from watching the show?" And I quote, she said, "I remember his attitude." But she didn't give any details, nor did he ask any details. And when she said, "I remember his attitude," I said, she's gone. So now we're down to 4. I was like, we all know, like, we know what she meant by that. And I'm sure he did too. So needless to say, she was gone when they had narrowed it down to the 15 jurors who were the final selection. She wasn't there, and I wasn't surprised. So the judge, so then we skip ahead. There were some other questions with some other jurors, but nothing. Those were the most impressionable things. So then we jump ahead to the judge informed the jury that the trial could last up to 3 weeks. However, their real plan is for this trial to be over by next Friday, by the end of next week. That's the plan. So yeah, that's the plan. And so then before lunch, the judge reminded the jurors of all of the rules about not talking to the case, talking about the case to anyone or doing any research. They're not allowed to, they can't watch this video. They can't, a lot of them were saying when they were asking, had you heard about this case or what had you heard about it? A lot of them were saying they literally heard about it this morning, like on their commutes, because it was everywhere. And even when I arrived, there were news trucks out there. And some of you may have seen like the newscasters kind of doing their reports from right outside of the federal building. So a lot of them had saw those sort of things, but they were saying they didn't know much more other than that. On the U.S. side, they had 5 attorneys, and I think it was really 4 attorneys and an assistant who seemed to be pulling up the evidence on the screens and kind of assisting in that way, more of in a clerical way. So then we went to a lunch recess from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And at that time, the judge was saying he was taking the extra time so that he and the attorneys could confer about the final selection of jurors. That way, when they came back, basically it would be narrowed down. So I'm going to jump into the comments only because that's a lot. And I'm even just at glancing, noticing that you guys are saying a lot of great things. And I'm going to answer a few things if I can. Yes, we're getting all the tea. Hey, April. Was Miss Robbie there? Miss Robbie was not in court today. However, there were other people there, and I have notes on it, so I don't want to jump ahead. But Miss Robbie, I will give a spoiler alert. She was not there today. Hey, Vix. How did he look? I think I kind of covered that. Yeah, a lot of people asking what he looked like. I should have put my glasses on. We need the community number. I'm gonna put it up again. I'm just have it on the ticker down there for a second. Oh, did I lose my spot? Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Yeah, the jurors were falling asleep. Right. How can you sleep on a case? But I will say at that point when the jurors were being questioned, so this wasn't the part where there was any testifying or evidence or anything going on. This was literally just the 59 jurors in the courtroom with the attorneys, and they were just basically being grilled about if they could really be a potential jurors, like, what do you know, basically if they qualified. So I could almost see that because there was individuals who would have to stand up and say things or were being questioned directly. And so if they didn't get enough sleep, I got sleepy at one point, but it wasn't during court because by the time I got in there, it was good. You wish you were a juror. it looked like a lot of them wish they weren't, because it was another guy who talked about religious reasons he wouldn't be able to do it, but he was saying only if it went past next Friday. But when they came back, he wasn't in the group either. So I can give a little heads up. That was further in my notes about the actual final juror. You know what? I'll wait. That way I don't get thrown off with my notes. But I'll answer that question. Yeah, it was very interesting to be there in person. Yes, only 6. Only 6. And I'm in St. Louis. Imagine that. But yeah, and that's true. You are so right, Who Meeks. It never turns out to be that. And I truly believe, and I was talking to someone about this, that Tim is doing this piece as his last stitch effort to try to get out of this, because I truly believe he's hoping for a mistrial or a hung juror, or, you know, someone to slip up. Like, the judge was given a lot of rules about what the jury cannot do. And this is such a high profile case that if one of the jurors slips up and reveals something, or talks to some, you know, blog or something like that, or even post something on Twitter, it's a wrap. Like, it can mess up the case. And I think that's kind of the stuff that he is hoping for, because the evidence is like ridiculous, like, against him. Yes, that part can be boring. I will say, thankfully, by the time they switched it for me to come in, was when they were kind of winding down. And so the piece I was in there for was actually interesting. I will answer this question too in my notes, James Hudson, but yes. It's never a jury of his peers. I heard the area where he lived have more white registered voters than black. It was very obvious from what I saw, very obvious. So I'm gonna say that's, although I don't know too much about STL, I'm gonna say that's a fact based on what I saw today, based on everybody saying it's never our peers, right? Let me read from here, Beth. As far as who was there today, besides, you know, the people involved in this, there was myself, Jay So Extra. She was the YouTuber. She started with myself, Philly Phil, and you know, there's like a handful of us who started literally in August of 2020 when this story broke, and she was definitely one of them. And she is now back on the scene. She is going to be covering the story. She was there today. So definitely, if you haven't been subscribed to Jay So Extra, or if you just haven't been over there in a minute, she has a video she posted last night. So definitely go over there, check her out. And her channel, she changed her channel name to Celebrity News Today, if I'm not mistaken. So, but I think if you probably search Jay So Extra, it'll still pop up. Was it packed? So the morning session prior to lunch, it was not at all. Well, in the courtroom, there was only the jurors, because that was pretty much all they could fit. It was 59 of them. So that did really take up the entire courtroom, along with the attorneys. So, but the afternoon session, where they had dwindled down and sent all the jurors who had not been selected were sent home. So we only had the 15 jurors, and then the courtroom was the public and the media and the people who were there for Andre and or Tim. So, so to answer your question, morning session was not packed with anyone except for the jurors. Afternoon session was pretty full, and that was the public and mostly family and stuff. I know it was a bad word, Who Meeks. I couldn't think of, this is why I like to pre-record my stuff, because my brain works a little better. And I'm tired, y'all. I'm real tired. Like, my eyes are burning, but I know I got to get this out to y'all, because this case is already moving fast. Like, a lot happened today. And I said, if I didn't do this tonight, I'm going to be behind. I'll never get all this out to you guys in a timely manner. They have slight bumps. I don't know if you guys are talking between. Yeah, it's definitely too much evidence. So much evidence. I believe so. The government put into evidence today nearly 30 pieces of evidence, and then she was saying something, and I couldn't quite hear her clearly as we were about to wrap up for the day. but she was either saying that she had 79 pieces of evidence regarding like the financial pieces of it and bank information. And I couldn't tell if she was saying that she was going to enter it in on tomorrow, or if she wanted to, if she had decided to omit the 79 pieces. I'll let you guys know when I give that next update what exactly she said with that. Okay, so I'm going to jump back into my notes because I'm not going to be on here too long either, because I got to eat, and court starts again at 8:45 a.m. and you know how that is. I got to get up and all that. So at 2:30 we resumed after the recess. They were very strict in the courtroom. So whereas the first half, the morning, when I was in the media area, in the overflow, basically, I was able to use my cell phone. I was able to text and be on Twitter and all that stuff. And so I was sending messages and sending updates that way. Follow me. There's another plug. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at IamVelB. And so, when I can send updates like that, and I post other things as well, I was able to do that then. But once the afternoon session started and I was actually in the courtroom, they literally didn't even want us to have our phones out. They had to be in your bag or your pocket or whatever. And they were serious about that. Now we get to the good part. So, well, it's all, you know what I mean. But this part juicy for some of y'all. So as far as who was in the actual courtroom, as far as people you guys would know, it was Miss Robbie's sister, Linda, and Monique, and about 10 other relatives and friends were in attendance. Now, there was already a little bit of some ruffling of some feathers because Monique got upset because outside of the courthouse, someone had taken a picture of her. One of the people from the public had taken a picture of her. And so that same person was in the courtroom when everyone came up, et cetera. And so she went and reported to the marshal that somebody was taking photos, et cetera. The marshal then comes over in the area I was in and is asking everyone, let me see your phone, because they were like, not only do not have your phone in your hand, et cetera, it must be put up, but it had to be turned off. And so he was doing like a spot check, like, let me see your phone right now and see if it's on. And so then it was explained, everyone showed their phone, it was all fine, but it was explained to him that the incident that Monique was complaining about didn't happen in the courthouse, it happened outside. Because one of the major rules is you cannot take any photos within that federal building at all. Whether you're in a courtroom or in the hallways, et cetera, you can only take photos outside of the building. So the person was fine with what they did. Monique is a public figure. I mean, I get both sides in a way because of the fact that it's a sensitive situation and, all of that is real for them. I get that, but they are also public figures. And the person wasn't coming up to them trying to take a selfie or anything like that. It was from afar, but she didn't want to be pictured from afar. So that occurred. And then it was just some dirty looks. And then at the end, it was some shadiness at the end with Monique as she was leaving the courthouse, where she's like, now I got you on camera. It's just silly, but I get it, but it was a little extra too. So then the final jury selection was made during the lunch break, and the remaining 15 jurors were brought back. Now, on the other side of the family, Andre's brother was there, the one that you have seen. I meant to like put photos and stuff. That's why I like to edit, because I can't do all that here. It's too much. But Andre's brother, who we all saw on the Welcome to Sweetie Pie series in the episode where there was the vigil for Andre, and Miss Robbie, was saying we know it had to be someone he knew, blah blah blah, and he was hugging his mom, Michelle Griggs. So that brother was there. Michelle Griggs, Andre's mom, was also there. I recognized, I think, at least one of the young ladies who was his sister, who I think I remember just from the earlier time. I think she was the one who might have posted saying that Tim did it on her social media. And then there were from what I could tell, there was about 3 or 4 other people with him, but I'm not sure if they were all his siblings or what, because I'm not as familiar with them beyond that older brother and the mom and the sister who posted. but they were over there. Now, one thing that occurred to me that I actually said to someone else was the fact that it was kind of horrible, not kind of, it was horrible that it just feels like Tim separated the family. He split the family, and you could see it in the courtroom. Like you could physically see what this has done to them as a family, where you had the people we're used to, the Sweetie Pies people, and then like some extra people, like people, I guess, cousins and stuff, the Montgomery side, basically, that we might not know as well. They were in the middle section, and then against the wall was basically the Griggs family and their supporters. And the crazy part is that the Griggs were actually closer to, and I said I'm gonna I drew a little diagram of the court, but it's going to be horrible probably to try to show on here. But I drew a little diagram. Yeah, I'll do it in an edited video. I'll do it like a better diagram. But they were actually, Tim was in front of them, and whereas in a traditional courtroom, we're used to like the table, the prosecution being here, defendant being here, and then the judge is in front. Their tables were like turned sideways, so you could see the side of Tim's face just looking forward. Tim is looking that way, not towards the not straight ahead towards the judge. And so they were close enough, like they're close. Like, you know, you see some of those clips on YouTube, et cetera, where these people are getting sentenced and some relative just jumps over and attacks the person who's being convicted. There was a lot of a lot of space to be able to do that and get to Tim. Well, I'm not trying to get nobody no ideas, but y'all know what I'm saying. So yeah, that was one of the things I just noticed, that I was looking for my little map thing. It's I don't know, y'all probably can't see that as well, but this here is where the Griggs family was. Tim was right here. I'm trying to do this and my fingers all. The judge is up here, and this is the government right here. So that was the setup of the courtroom. Let's see. So not much more, y'all. Not much more. And then I'm gonna jump back into the comments. So okay. So the final jury. I don't think I broke this down. So the final jury selection was the 15. So, you know, there's the 12, and then you have the, I think they call it standby. I forgot. Alternate jurors. So that makes a total of 15, just in case, you know, people get sick or something happens where they're disqualified, etc., while the trial is happening. So out of the 15, 9 of them are men and 6 of them are women, and 0 of them are black. 0 of them are black. And I'm not being racist, but it is what it is. 0 rather of them are black. So he ended up with an entirely white jury. And what I noticed was out of the jurors, all of them seem to be about 35 years or older, with the exception of one who I think she may be in her early to mid 20s. And the reason I say that is because she was actually one of the jurors that it was Tim's attorney had asked her a question regarding what she had heard about the case. He was trying to just solidify and make sure, like, details of, well, what do you actually know about the case already? And her answer to me was that of a very young person, where she spoke about like Twitter and social media, and just the way she described it was very much lingo of a 20-something, a young 20-something-year-old. So that made me, and she looked about that age. So, but everyone else is 35 plus. So it's going to be very interesting. I mean, we already know what's happening here, but it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this, you know, with that. So then, now this is the part that I had put in one of my messages. I think I put it in my tweet too, on Twitter and Instagram. But what we thought was going to happen, what we were originally told this morning was going to happen, was that they were going to do jury selection, and that opening statements would be done tomorrow morning, because of the fact they had 59 jurors, and that was a pretty large number to get through, and they just kind of assumed that there's no way we'll get through that, and then get into opening statements. Well, what had happened was that they actually did get through all of that. And when the judge, he's like, let's get this over with. We already know you're guilty. I'm saying that. The judge didn't say that. But the way he's operating is kind of like, let's get this over with. So he literally just went straight into, after he gave the jurors, their instructions and rules, et cetera, et cetera. He just went straight into, all right, you guys ready for your opening statements? And so they started with the opening statements from the government. And Attorney Carroll, she basically was saying, now this was interesting because I can't remember if I've heard this and forgot or never heard this before, but in her opening statement, one of the points that she covered was saying that when his life was taken, I'm on YouTube, I got to watch the words. When Andre's life was taken, she stated that Tim never called Michelle Griggs, Andre's mom, for those of you who don't know. She said he didn't call her, he didn't text her, he didn't email her. He said nothing to her after Andre passed away and did not say anything to her until the day of the funeral, where he then told her, sorry for your loss, and walked away. Now, I feel like I want to check comments after this. Let me take a little break and let y'all marinate on that. So again, Tim, when Andre passed away, and I'm saying that kindly, you know what happened, but when Andre passed away, Tim never said anything to Michelle Griggs, Andre's mom, never texted her, never called her, never said y'all okay, y'all need help with the planning, nothing. Not until the day of the funeral did he even say a word to her, and that was, I'm sorry for your loss. As if something you say to a coworker whose family member you ain't never met, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, or if you feel like I'm wrong. Okay, I'm gonna go through comments real quick just to try to catch up, and then I'm gonna give y'all these last tidbits. And what time is it? Because I gotta eat. I gotta eat, and I gotta get enough sleep for tomorrow. So we'll see. I may get through it all, and I may keep y'all hanging. We'll see. I guess I should be looking at my likes and tell y'all, depending on my likes, we'll see how much I tell y'all, how much more. But anyway, I really need my glasses because my eyes are starting to fail me even more. Justice for Andre. Yes, justice for Andre. Praying for strength for Michelle Griggs and family. Andre is not forgotten. Hallelujah. That's right. He's definitely not forgotten. Let's see. Hello, beautiful souls. Yeah. Yes, he's going to jail for sure. Yeah, they don't play about criminals in their neighborhood. You are so right. Tim might as well get ready to run that track for 50 years and get them hips together. Hopefully more than 50 years. I'm okay with life. I wish, well, okay. I'm okay with life. I kind of would be okay with more, to be honest, but that's not a possibility here. Hello, everyone from Memphis. Yeah, they didn't get into specifics of Don about what they meant for about religious reasons. I think honestly, and definitely one of the situations, I feel that person probably had Googled how to get out of jury duty and saw that as one of the ways. And it's probably just one of those things. It's almost, probably like medical where they can't really probably ask, or they probably just like, why bother? Because we can tell from this, you don't want to really be a part of this. That's right, Darlene. Justice for Andre. Right. He needs to take Shakira's advice because those hips don't lie. Right. Always trying to get put up the jury, but then complain about certain verdicts. Yeah, that's true. And I had that conversation as well. Like part of it is, it's registered voters who get pulled for that. And if a certain demographic is not known to vote as much, that gets in the way too. Right. I don't know how many comments, how far behind I am, but I'm gonna zoom through. We are not able to watch. So, just for those of you who may be listening, let me read this. It was TV reality TV at the stage reality TV. Are you able to watch this on Zoom? No, this case is not televised in any way, which is the reason why I made this trip to St. Louis, because I was like, I can't be waiting on whoever to give the information. And I'm really, if anyone else would have it, and I'm really glad that I did come here, because the news was not, they were outside, the news trucks were outside that morning, this morning rather, when I arrived. They never came in. They didn't sit through what myself, Jay, and the VIP community members sat through. I didn't see any other YouTubers there that I was aware of. I'm pretty sure there were, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think there was anyone else, because literally we knew everyone who was in the room at a certain point. Yes, this now this is a speedy trial. We know that it has been delayed quite a bit, and we know, based on all the motions that Tim's attorney was throwing at the wind this past week or two, that they were trying to delay this some more. Just anything. Yeah, wow, that's soon. Yes, so we're hoping that. I was actually okay with it, because I kind of was saying I can't commit 4 weeks of my life to St. Louis, but I could do 2 weeks. I could do 2 weeks here, especially for y'all. I could do it for y'all. So he's hoping to to clear people had no previous knowledge of him in the show. Very true. Now, I didn't think about that piece of it. He may be looking at that as his advantage. And most of them seem to not know about the show, but they knew of what had got out about, where we're at now on some level. They're gonna love those childbearing hips. Thank you. I was wondering how long the estimated trial would last. 2 to 3 weeks. Awesome justice for Andre. Prayers for both sides of the family and friends. Very true. Prayers for both sides of the family. Because I really, honestly, sitting there, it was emotion. It was like, it was layers to it. And I was speaking to someone, and some of y'all are probably gonna be offended and feel like, how dare you? But I honestly felt sorry for Tim at a moment. It was just a sadness, not saying let him off or anything like that, but just like, what happened? Like, how does this happen? How do you get here? Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I was about to click on it and it disappeared, and I'm apologize, because I'm not that good at this stuff yet. So I don't know where to find it. But thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. I really, really appreciate that, because as y'all can see, well, y'all don't know, but this ain't my house. This costs money. I'm doing it for y'all, but it costs money. It costs money to do this. This stuff ain't free. But it's a business expense, but it ain't free. Wow, just only 2 weeks. Yeah, so they're hoping for only 2 weeks. Now, it could go longer if, there's some hiccups, and there's a ton of evidence, but it just seems like, based on today and how quickly it was moving, that Judge Ross is like, let's get this done. And the attorneys wasn't really pushing back. Tim's attorney is full of tricks and stunts, as many of you already know, but I just got a feeling that they not gonna play those games with him. Yeah, they really did mean a speedy trial. What else we got? Yeah, I mean, what the judge said about lunch. So the question is, so more than likely we can expect lunch to be around 1. What the judge did say today before he dismissed us for the day is that his plan is for us to go, depending on the testimony and what's happening, an hour to 2 hours stints, and then take a break. And then, we'll have a what is that? Morning break, an afternoon break, and a lunch break. So I think it's going to mostly depend. I think that's the goal, but it's going to mostly depend on testimony in those moments. I hope that's not. Thank you, Marianne, rather. I'm sorry. That's one of my VIPs. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. I really appreciate it. Hey, Rita B. Yeah, it was on the news in Florida. I actually noticed while I was in the media room for the morning session before I went into the actual courtroom, as I was scrolling through YouTube, I could see all the newscasts showing their clips, and then I accidentally clicked on it and my volume was up, and then I thought they were gonna kick me out. So I never looked up. I think, yeah, I was the only media person in there at the time, and I was like, oh man, I'd have messed up, but it was all good. They didn't bother me. 2 weeks is enough time to put him behind bars forever, right? We really don't even need that. Today would have been enough time, to be honest. Thanks, Saints Center, for the super chat. I really appreciate you, friend. That's right, guilty. Did they seat the jury? Yes, they did. I spoke about that a little earlier in this live, so definitely make sure you catch the replay when you can. No, I do not live. Oh yeah, I have that on screen. Yeah, Rita B. I do not live in St. Louis. I actually came down here so that I could give you guys the firsthand eyewitness updates of the case, because I know that the news media is not really covering this, not like this. They are not. And I can say that because they weren't in the courtroom. And we've seen, those of us who've been around a minute with this story for the 2 years, we know that it's mostly us YouTubers that are really laying it out. Thank you so much, Kiki Doll. I really appreciate it. Right. Woo child. And although I'm in a gentrified, and this is off the subject, but although I'm in a gentrified area, it's really nice. And this place I'm in is very nice. But in order for me to I'm in walking distance from the courthouse. So I'm really close to downtown. But in order for me to get to it, I have to go through some suspicious areas, and I'm not familiar with St. Louis. And 2 people who are from St. Louis told me, oh, wow, you need to really be careful, like where you're going through. So I rode a scooter from here to the bridge, and then I walk over the bridge. But yeah, woo child. Thank you. What is this? Tell's World of Beauty. Yeah, it's interesting being there in person. So I'm gonna read just a couple more, and then I'm gonna get back to these updates. What's the time? Okay, I'm not doing too bad on time. I'm gonna give y'all like another 30 minutes, and then I got to get out of here so I can eat and get enough rest so that I can take good notes for tomorrow. And then, if all goes well, I will be coming every evening to give an update. They may not be long, but I will give updates. That way, I don't. That way, it's not. We don't get too far behind. And I learned this during the why am I forgetting his name? George Floyd trial. I was actually covering that. You guys never saw that content because I was so busy trying to perfect it that I never actually got it recorded. But I did a lot of research and all of that. And so this time around, I learned that lesson, that because these cases move so quick and there's so much that happens each day, that really alive is the only way to really get this out to you guys. And I have to let go of that perfectionist side of me. So please don't criticize all this sloppiness of this, because trust me, my anxiety is up. But I like to get the information out to you guys, and over time I'll perfect this as well. Oh, I missed this one. Was Michelle Griggs there? I actually touched on that, but I go into detail in a minute in my notes. So I'm gonna do 2 more. Let's see. Yeah, I was hoping that it would have been on TV too. It just would have made it more convenient for me to kind of work through all of this. But it's kind of cool. I got a trip out of it, and I got to see the people in person. It was, interesting. So let's see. I left off, I think, on the opening statements. Yeah, and okay, I left off on the opening statements where, and I didn't even get to that part in y'all messages. But Tim, again, never contacted Michelle Griggs, and this is going to really even be deeper when I get to some other pieces of my notes a little further in. Never contacted Michelle Griggs to say anything when Andre died. And then Travell Hill. So this is, we're in the opening statements of the government attorney Carol. And so she talked about that, but she also mentioned that Travell Anthony Hill will be testifying. And so that's going to be interesting. So what she laid out in her opening statement, and it was the way she put it, the way she mapped it out was beautiful. They are on it. The government is on it. She's a really good attorney. So she said that this whole plot of James Timothy Norman was a 5-step plan of his that only he was aware of. And he was very methodical in the way that, although he had all these multiple people involved, and now we know it was up to 6 people that we know of, 6 people that were involved in this plot, none of the 6 knew the entire plan. They only knew, each one of them only knew the role or their job in the plan. Tim was the only one that knew, when I put this piece with this piece and what you do with what you do and what you do, puts my whole plan together. So with him trying to plead innocent, like he didn't know what happened, and basically he's trying to say from his attorney's opening argument that Travell did this all on his own, like made this up in his head and did it on his own. Craziness. Thank you for the, it disappeared. Someone just gave me a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So she said it was a 5-step plan masterminded by Tim himself. Phase 1, and we know these, but I'm laying it out how she did. Phase 1 was for him to get the life insurance policies. So we know that he worked with Wael Yagnam to get those policies. Check. Once he got that done, his next plan was to find Andre. So in order to find Andre, he was connecting with Terica, did what he needed to do with her in his mind, and then check. Terica was able to make contact with Andre, was able to solidify where he was. His next step was to send Travell Anthony Hill to the location where Terica told him Andre was going to be. Check. The next was, after Andre's life was unfortunately taken, the next step was for him to pay the people. And so he paid Terica, we know, $10,000, and then she deposited it in a bank, multiple banks. And then he sent the $5,000 through Kara, was it? I forget. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but he sent it through one of his friends to pay Travell, the same person who negotiated how much, because Travell wanted more money at first than the $5,000. They whittled him down to the $5,000, and because he's basically a crackhead, they were able to only give him $5,000 for this. And so then she said, step 5 was check on that. And then she said step 5 was for James Timothy Norman to collect the life insurance money. As we know, those of us who've been following this for a long time, that part never happened. Thank God. Thank God. So I mentioned the part she said that Tim told no other person the entire story, the entire plan. He was the only one that knew it. So he can't claim that these people orchestrated this and he somehow got, roped in, or they lying on him or whatever. Okay, then what else do I have? Oh, now this was interesting. She was talking about how Tim actually came. Okay, so we all know that, or some of us, those of us who've been following, know that Tim had traveled from California to St. Louis, specifically like overnight, basically, for the taking of Andre's life to occur and to orchestrate that and to play the role. So what they were saying, his attorney was actually saying, well, Tim normally always did that. Like Tim came here very often to basically empty out the safes and deposit the money. So I'm like, he's flying all the way from California to come here to empty safes and take the money to the bank. Like, I don't know. That's his attorney's claim. So what the government was saying was that Tim had contacted Terica Ellis an hour after arriving at the Chase Park Hotel. Tim then texted her to come over, and she came over and they had sex. Then once they had sex, Tim then brought up to Andre. So we heard about, not the Andre, but brought up Andre, and basically that he was looking for his nephew. The story that they're saying he presented to Terica is that the whole thing about the break-in, and basically he's looking for him to have him hopefully get the stuff. Now, this is Tim's version. Hopefully find the stuff that he thinks that Andre had taken from the house, and basically make him answer to it, not to take his life. This is Terica's thinking, like, oh, he's just trying to get him to be able to make him answer to, what's happening, because Miss Robbie was also looking for him. The thing that was interesting to me, and I don't think I've heard anyone just flat out call her this, and it was interesting to hear the government call Terica an exotic dancer and a prostitute. They literally said she was a known prostitute. So they said she danced and had sex for money. So that was repeated by Tim's attorney. So it was her career. I mean, none of us are surprised, but for me, it was kind of surprising to hear them actually say that. So then we have, this was interesting too. And again, this is a part I can't remember if I just forgot or I never knew this, but they're saying when Terica was texting Andre, so those text messages that we've seen, that was Tim telling her exactly what to say to Andre. That wasn't coming fresh out of her mind. That was Tim literally laid up next to her at the Chase Park Hotel within minutes, having her texting Andre to say all of these things. And then Tim immediately, after the information was given by Andre to Terica, Tim immediately called Tre'vell Anthony Hill. They have all this on record, like phone records, minute by minute. It's like within a minute, he's now calling. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. So anyway, let's see how much I got left. Woo, y'all, this is a lot still. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all another page, and then I'm gonna look at some comments, and then we'll see how I feel after that. So, what we got? Oh, this was interesting too. So they're saying that when Andre got out of Terica's car, because I don't think I heard this either. When Andre got out of Terica's car, Tim immediately texted her saying, "Move." This tells me, because part of my question, and I don't know, I may have missed other conversations, so forgive me if I wasn't a part of these other conversations. But what occurred to me was, it never made sense to me why Tim would need to come to St. Louis if he was just orchestrating this. Like, a good manager don't need to be on site to manage situations. I'm breaking this down to corporate America level, but he shouldn't have needed to come here for what was happening if he wasn't playing a role, like physically doing something. So come to find out, with him texting Terica, "Move," and then the federal attorney said when he told her to move, as she drove off is when the shots were fired. So what this tells me is that Tim was on site. He may not have been. I think Tim was like in a car across the street, down the street, or something, and he had a good visual of what was occurring. And now this is speculation. I don't know proof of this, and we'll probably find out. I'll probably be able to tell y'all, confirm for y'all. But based on the way it was stated and my notes, I was under the impression that Tim had to be there. There's no way that he could have texted her, "Move," and then as she's pulling off, the shots then happen. How would he know? He would have to be there in order for that to happen. So I'm gonna leave that there, and then I'm gonna check some comments. I'm gonna try to catch up. I'm not gonna catch up. There's a lot of comments, but thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you, Jeffrey Limery. I really appreciate the $20 super chat. Really, really, really appreciate it. Oh my God. Tamika Smith, photography. I really, 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 really appreciate you for that. That's a nice little chunk off this Airbnb fee. Really appreciate. You just paid for one of my nights. Okay, so let's get through this. She was probably on Zoom. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry, because it's probably it's fur behind. They're not asking for the death penalty, because I think if I'm not mistaken, it's been so long, y'all, forgive me with some of these facts, because it's been so long, 2 years of covering this, but I believe they don't do the death penalty here. I think that's how it got outruled, but it got overruled at some point, got taken off as an option at some point in the past 2 years. So no, it's just life in prison is the option. Thank you so much. Thank you, C-Mac. I really appreciate the $10 super chat. You guys are really blessing me tonight, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Yes, so I was there today. I will be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. So my plan is to definitely be here. If it only goes for, till the end of next week, that's something I can commit to. Any further than that, I got some other life stuff happening that I wish I could share with y'all, but unfortunately I can't. But some major happy life stuff happening that I cannot necessarily commit beyond that this month at least. So the judge is Caucasian. He's a Caucasian male. When I'm able to do an edited, pre-recorded video for this, I will have, the photos I can pull up and all of that stuff for you guys. Y'all, any of you who've been following me a long time and watch my other stuff, this is bothering me that I can't like really have this concise and have all those images, but this is growth right here. Let me read this for those of you who can't see it. If Tim's face was close enough to me, I would spit. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I wasn't doing that because I need to be able to come back to be allowed to come back in the courthouse so I can keep reporting for y'all. I can't cut my nose off to spite my face, so to speak. Yeah, we started, but you can go back to the beginning and watch the replay and catch up to us. The trial will not be televised. Yeah, the death penalty is off the table. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, stress will age you because Tim definitely is looking, very tattered. That's right, Shagtown West Side. Jury selection. Did the trial commence? Yes, the trial commenced, and that's some of what, and you may have this answer now because I'm way behind, but the trial did commence today. We were able to hear opening statements, and we got 2 witnesses. I ain't even got to the witnesses yet, y'all. Whew. What time is it again? Ooh, Jesus. We'll see. We'll see what happens, y'all. I'm going to try to get y'all 30 minutes. Please hit that like button. 608. Yeah, 618 of y'all in here. I would really appreciate 618 likes. That'd be beautiful. It'd be a blessing. Appreciate y'all. I heard this before where someone said federal trials are not on TV or Zoom, but isn't the R. Kelly trial a federal trial? But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. And that's not televised either, though. Okay. Yeah, I guess y'all right. Anyway, thank you so much. Was it Bebalicious TV? I appreciate you. Yes, family members were there. I think, I gave the overview of the family members that were there. We had Linda, not Auntie Robbie's. they feel so close. It does feel like she was my auntie at one point. But Miss Robbie's sister Linda, Monique from the show, she was there. Michelle Griggs, her oldest son, and I'm thinking a couple of her children. But again, I don't know them as well, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But it was definitely a group of them. How do I make that? Thank you, Tracy Harrell, for the super chats. I'm not sure how to get these super chats to show up on the screen, y'all. For some reason, I can see them, but I can't get them on the screen. Thank you, RN Smith, 2003, and Homegirl Hiller, Karen Simmons. Y'all are hitting these super chats, and I am really appreciating y'all. Adrena Wright. I hope I didn't skip any. I think I got Tracy Harrell and C-Mac. I think I got you too. Thank you, guys. I really, really, really appreciate that. Okay, we talked about what family members are present. So if you missed that part, it's definitely in the beginning of this video. Is that normal for such a short trial? 2 weeks is not really a short trial. Yeah, I think that's fairly reasonable for this. I think any shorter for this, the level of evidence. Now, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed, but I did hear that they had like 40 something witnesses, and the evidence is at least 100 plus pieces of evidence that I'm sure of. So I feel like anything less than a week would not be possible for this, but about 2 weeks. If they're like moving and executing, I feel like it's possible. Is Jim in the courtroom when they picked the jury? Oh, Tim. Yes, Tim was in the courtroom when they were questioning the jurors, when they were selecting and trying to figure out. Forgive my words, because as I get tired, my vocabulary shrinks dramatically, which is why I don't do lives often. But he better enjoy his freedom in court, because that is the only freedom he's going to have outside of jail. You heard about that? Start watching the show again just to go back and watch his interactions with Andre. Yeah, you can tell he didn't like him. That's an evil man. Now, this is interesting too. I agree with you. And I do plan to return to my Sweetie Pies series recaps, because once the case is over, I personally still want to go back and see what we missed, etc. And there were some of you who really enjoyed that series as well. So it will happen again. It's just kind of hard to cover this case and the Darius Crooks stuff, and and I fit in trending topics here or there. But I do plan to return to that when I can. But the interesting part about this comment is Tim's attorney's spin on this whole thing. Tim's attorney paints Tim out to be the model, uncle, mentor, savior. And it's very interesting. So I'll share some of that in the notes. I'm probably not going to get to it tonight, y'all, but I will share some of that in the future for sure. That's right. Chi-Town representing West Side. Y'all hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. It's, even if you can't do a super chat, which we greatly appreciate it, a like is a good monetary gift as well, because that helps this video spread out to more people. Can't eat Sweetie Pies no more. Yeah. I was honestly debating about if I was gonna go, y'all, but I don't want y'all throwing tomatoes at the screen. I've been before to the upper crust location about 2 to 3 times. I did Google it yesterday when I got here, because I was like, well, maybe I'll go, stop by there. But they're now only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I found that to be very interesting. So I'm like, they can't be popping like they used to, because I'm like, what restaurant is only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? But that's Sweetie Pies for you. So Michelle M, when they did that, putting back on Spare Brother Son. I'm not sure if I'm missing. My comprehension might be off right now. Chef Fine as Wine saying, I will still eat Sweetie Pies because I love Miss Robbie. I have love for everyone. How did Tim look? Was his hip still wide? I talked about that in the beginning. Just rewind and go back to the beginning. You'll see my in-depth coverage of wide hip, or used to be formerly known as wide hip Tim. That's a nice crib for STL. Yeah, I'm in a gentrified area. Are they asking for the death penalty? No. Talked about that a minute ago as well. I thought that today, or just to be famous until the end. Not sure if I might not be comprehending. Sorry. Yes, I will be here I will be here for the next 2 weeks. Can't say if the child goes beyond that, then the answer is likely no. The jury is not sequestered, and I was wondering that as well, because the judge was really serious about don't let nothing out, don't tweet nothing, don't read nothing, all of that. But no, they are not sequestered. They're able to go home. They went home just like we did. So hoping for the best, and that was again one of my concerns. Is like, ooh, they get to go out in public. I hope don't nobody slip up, but they honestly might not even care as much as the 600 plus of us who are in this live, to be honest. Many of them, like, who is that? Just another one of them. Hey, Chocolate Rose. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ever catch up. Yeah, I ain't gonna never catch up to these comments, so I apologize. What I'm gonna do though is just skip to our most current. That way. And then I'm gonna jump right back into my update, I'm gonna do one more round of updates. I ain't gonna get through it all, but I'm gonna do one more round of updates as far as I can get, and then I'm gonna do some questions, and then we're gonna call it a night, because I gotta see y'all tomorrow, and I don't want to wear myself out tonight, and then I'll be too tired during the day, because being in court, for those of you who've ever done it, is a lot, or watched it on TV. It is a lot just to be there, whether it's interesting or not. Like, and I'm not used to a traditional schedule anymore, you know, being a YouTuber and all. So I don't get my afternoon nap, and that's going to be a problem. Okay, so let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, we talked about him telling her to move, to drive away. Oh, now this was the other part that was very interesting to me. So we all know, I keep saying we all, but when I say that, I mean those of us who know. The majority of us know that Tim was not able to collect the life insurance policy. And what we had heard or read was that it was because he was unable to provide the documents, the autopsy, the death certificate, things like that, things that, you know, Andre's mom had basically. And so Tim ended up getting an attorney trying to fight it. He was basically saying like, y'all got my money and y'all won't give it to me, to the insurance company. So what was disclosed today is that the insurance company actually wasn't giving Tim the money because he had not been cleared as a suspect. So even the life insurance company knew that there was something up with this. And that is why they wouldn't give him the money. Well, one of the reasons as well, that they wouldn't give him the money. The other thing that was interesting, and this was Tim's attorney's angle, trying to disprove the whole Tim got the insurance policy because he was broke and, you know, all of these things. He pointed out that Miss Robbie actually had a life insurance policy on Andre as well. And so Miss Robbie had a life insurance policy on him, and Michelle Griggs had a $50,000 life insurance policy on him, as well as her other children, which parents should do. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's honestly how some people build wealth. That's a whole nother conversation for another channel I'll create in the future where we talk about these sort of wealth building things, generational wealth. But anyway, so it was brought to that was brought out. And I found that very interesting. I'm like, wow. So this was known on so many levels. So many people saw what was wrong with this. Okay, so then we jump to, I don't know if I want to. I'm gonna jump to the testimony because my next notes are about Tim's attorney's opening statements. And to be honest, well, I'll just give a quick overview. It was a bunch of tricks and stunts. And him trying to really recreate the narrative. And I just spoke about him trying to make Tim out to be this model uncle, mentor. You know, Tim wanted to pull Andre back to St. Louis so that he could help him out. And he got him an apartment a couple doors down from him. This stuff is true, though. Tim got him an apartment a couple doors down from him. Tim had given him access to his cars. Tim was giving him an allowance. Tim got him a part-time job at Sweetie Pies. And Tim got him into Nelly's music school here, which is supposed to be like a big prestigious situation, a big deal. So Tim's attorney was trying to use that to prove that Tim was actually cared about Andre and wanted to see the best for him. And then on the other side of it, Tim's attorney was trying to paint Andre out to be this wayward child or wayward young man who was drawn to the streets. And so he was saying that the reason Tim got the life insurance policy on Andre was because Andre was into, and I forget the name, it was some name of rap, genre rap I had never heard of before, that he said that Andre was drawn to. And this genre of rap was about guns and gangs and this and that. And so Tim, again, y'all, I feel like y'all looking at me crazy like, that ain't true. Because I'm like, that ain't true, as I'm watching his attorney try to spin the narrative. But this is what his attorney was saying. But he tried to say that Tim got the life insurance on Andre because he was into this lifestyle, and he was pretty sure that because of this lifestyle, there was a good chance he might not make it, you know, far in life, you know, as far as living. because of his rapping and the lifestyle that he was trying to live. So that's kind of the bulk of his opening statements. What I will say is I kind of got a feeling that the judge is gonna be irritated with Tim's attorney because of the fact that he's trying to pull a lot of tricks and stunts and bamboozle and narrative spins and smoke and mirrors and all of that. He got called out a couple times by the judge, who was saying, you're not doing an opening statement. Now you're basically trying the case right now. And he had to keep correcting him, and they did a couple sidebars and all of that. So that was the bulk on that. Then we jumped to, so I'm going to jump ahead. I got like 3 pages of note that I'm skipping over, and we'll get that information out at some point. But I want to jump to Michelle Griggs' testimony. So the first person who was called after the opening statements. Now I'm thinking after the opening statements, I'm like, oh, okay, we're about to go home, because it was 4 p.m. It was 4 p.m. because the person next to me was like, well, how long is this going? And I said, well, I think the court closes at 4. Well, she was like, it's 4 p.m. And I said, well, I guess we're going to 6 because the building closes at 6. So they called Michelle Griggs. She was asked by the government how many children she has. She has 6 children. They then asked about Andre, and the attorney put up on the screen in front of Miss Griggs a photo of Andre, basically asking her, is that her son Andre? We couldn't see the photo. It was only for the screen right directly in front of her at the witness stand. Then she also asked her, did she know who Tim Norman was? She asked her to identify, like you see on TV where it's like, well, could you point them out? What do they have on? She did that whole thing. And so she asked her, Andre's weight, his height, which was 5'10", his weight, 220. When was he born? October 15th, 1993. And where? In San Diego, California. And then she asked her about how did she know Tim? And she talked about, Tim being the half brother of Andre's father, who was her baby daddy, basically. Talked about how Andre ended up in St. Louis the first time when he was younger. So they did talk about how he was kind of having issues in Texas, and how his mom basically had been talking to Miss Robbie about it, and they all agreed that he should come to St. Louis and finish out high school. And she said that everyone was on board. Miss Robbie was on board, Tim was on board, and Andre was on board for it. So I don't think I wrote the year, but I think it was 2012 or so, 2011, 2012, he came to St. Louis to finish out high school, and he came during Thanksgiving, and he just stayed. And during that time, he worked as a busboy at the Sweetie Pie's location. So we know that after that, now this is the part, he was on the show. We all saw that. That's how we got to know and love Andre and get all the laughs and feel like he was an extension of our own family, etc. And so after that, we know that he ended up not being on the show after that. And they started talking about, Andre kind of being pulled towards the streets and things that occurred that ended up having him end up back in Texas. And when he was in Texas, things weren't going any better. And so through conversation with Miss Robbie, she's telling Miss Robbie, like, he's lost. He doesn't know what he's doing here, and he's not doing anything. And so the next thing, Tim then calls her and then offers to be this mentor. What her exact words was, Tim called and basically said, can you send Andre here? Let me take care of him and teach him how to be a man. I guess he meant a man not on this side of earth, I guess. But anyway, Michelle, of course, agreed because she wanted the best for her son. So Andre then comes here, and this is where I had just spoke of earlier. Tim ended up getting Andre an apartment in his luxury apartment building down the hall from him. They were in the same building. He gave Andre access to his cars, gave him allowance, gave him a job, et cetera, and got him in Nelly's music school. Now, Michelle was asked that when Tim asked for Andre to come back to St. Louis as more of an adult now, did he ask you for anything regarding Andre, like any documentation, et cetera? And she said, yes. This was interesting because now we know the whole story. She said he asked for his birth certificate, social security number, and it was another thing, a document she said, and for some reason I didn't write it down. Makes a lot of sense now. Like, these are things, that information that he needed for the life insurance policy. So this is just snaky. That's snaky. Ooh. So he asked for Andre to come here, plotting on his mom, who just wanted the best for her son. And he's like, let me get this dude here so I can do this. What he ended up doing. Now, it took years, but this is what he ended up doing. Yeah, then I went into the whole, after he passed away. Oh, so that was the reason I wrote this down again. So imagine him being the reason why Michelle Griggs encourages Andre to come back to St. Louis so that he can teach him how to be a man. And then he gets here, he eventually gets, his life taken. And then the person who asked you to give them your child so that they can elevate them, so to speak, or take care of them, is the person who never calls you when that child passes away, when they failed, because he failed. He never reached out to her, treated it like, well, I never asked him to come here. And then the only time he says anything to her, now you can call me and ask me for my child, and you can call me and ask me for very important documents, but you can't give your condolences until you see me at the funeral. And then that's just a couple words and you walk away. Evil. So, this was another part. So this was heartbreaking because the prosecution had showed Miss Griggs Andre's photo, basically like, is this your child? Then she came back and she showed her another exhibit, which was Andre again. However, this particular photo, and it's stuck in my head now, but this particular photo was actually Andre's photo of him in the morgue. Okay, so I'm gonna move on from that because that almost got me. But yeah. Let me read some comments so I can get that out of my mind real quick. But yeah, so, and of course, when she showed her that photo, it caused her to break down. But she powered through, and then she went on to then answer the cross-examination from Tim's attorney, who then just tried to paint out Andre like a wayward child, like, you didn't know where he lived, did he talk to you, all those sort of things. Oh, the other thing too I have here about Michelle and her testimony, she was asked, when did she find out that Tim, because remember now, Tim has asked for these documents that align with someone trying to get this information for an insurance policy, life insurance policy. She was asked, when did she find out that Tim ever mentioned this life insurance policy to her, which the answer was no, of course. Then she was asked, well, when did she find out? She didn't find out about this $450,000 life insurance policy until after Andre passed away, and she found out from the feds. Tim never mentioned it. Nobody else ever mentioned it. This is how she found out. She was also asked if she knew of or knew Wael Yagnam. Of course, the answer was no. She knew nothing about what was happening there. Oh, those were very odd hours for Sweetie Pies, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I guess if I go, I can't post it because y'all might hate me. Some of y'all might hate me, but I can't, I ain't saying that. Tim already ruined his family reputation and hard work. Yeah, it's unfortunate because so many people are suffering from this. So many people, and being in that courtroom, seeing the people, not only the people that we know and love and grew to love on the show, but also being able to see the cousins and like these other people who I couldn't tell you who they were, but I knew they were close to them. And just seeing them separated, like, split across the courtroom like that, I was like, it's horrible. All because of him and greed and evil. Somebody said, no, y'all coming late with these questions. It's more me, I think, being so far behind in the chat. Sweetie Pies in Jackson, Mississippi only open Wednesday through Sunday. Not many people going anymore. Yeah. I know the last time I was at Sweetie Pies Upper Crust was probably before the pandemic. So maybe 2019. And it was empty. It was empty. Hope Charles writes a tell-all book. Ooh. Oh, y'all, it's so much. I can't get through all. I'm tired, y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all this, and then I'm gonna read these questions, and then I gotta go for the night, y'all, because I want to be able to come back tomorrow, and I'll be too tired if I don't get some rest, and I need to eat. But okay, so Charles was brought up, and there was evidence. So the other thing, for those of you who are following me and Philly Phil and all the other great commentators on this who are showing y'all like these court documents, etc., and the evidence, well, today we saw more stuff. So they did not put out everything. I know y'all looking at the stuff we've been going over like, ooh, this is a lot. That ain't even everything. So today, what I saw that I had never seen before, they put into evidence a text message exchange between Charles Crenshaw, aka Charles's cousin, Andre's cousin and bestie. It was Charles had texted, and I was nervous. Ooh, I was nervous when they, because at that point they had only been talking about Tim's text messages with the people we were already familiar with, the Terica. Well, they brought up Travell, and we hadn't seen the text message exchange, but there was a text message exchange they brought up with him. But YL, Terica, what was it? Big somebody. I'm forgetting his name because he's a newer player. But Carol and all those. So then they bring up Charles, and I'm like, oh my God, Charles was involved. Charles knew something. So what they brought up was Charles had sent Tim a text message. Can't remember the timeline, but like sometime months or a year or whatever it was before Andre's. No, it was in January. So Andre was taken March 16th, if I'm not mistaken, of 2016. Charles had texted Tim January something of 2016. So Charles, it was interesting. It was kind of chuckled in my head a little bit because it was like classic Charles, what we know to be, we've seen on the show for years. Charles texts Tim saying, hey, can you help me out? Because can you help me out with $1,300? Because my car is in the pound. And so Tim responds, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. And so Charles says that his car was in the pound because he had tickets on it, and he ended up getting a ticket while it was parked somewhere, and they towed it, and now it's impounded. And he said he needed the money because every day it was accumulating. We know how pounds work. It was accumulating more money, and he didn't have the money that it originally took to get it in there. And so Tim's response, and this is how it plays into this court case, because one of Tim's attorney's opening statements or points in his opening statement was how rich Tim was, and how he never would need to get insurance money from anyone because he was very wealthy. And he said that, Tim had luxury places that he lived at, and cars and jewelry, and everyone who saw him said he always had a lot of cash on him. And this is what his attorney said. So the government pulls this piece of evidence out, and this was during the FBI's agent's testimony. And I'm skipping ahead just because this statement came out, this comment. They ended up showing Tim's response to Charles asking for $1,300 was, man, I owe what he's like $5,000 at this location, and $9,000 at this location, and $20-something thousand at this location, talking about his monthly bills at all the various restaurants that were open in 2016. As we know now, it's only the two that are barely open, as we're talking about in these comments. But back then it was, he had the NoHo and West Florissant, and I think Mangrove might have even still been open, and Upper Crust and all that. So he had multiple restaurants. So he's telling Charles about all these bills, and he says, and how much you think that is? And so Charles then, he obviously added it up, and he responds with, that's 90 something $1,000. And he was like, yeah, so I don't have it. He was like, Tim said, he said, I've had to sell my bike. He said, I've had to sell my jewelry, and I'm about to get put out of my apartment. I'm gonna have to move out of my apartment because I'm getting put out. This was January. Andre was taken in March. Does that sound like a response from a rich person? So that was very interesting. I'm telling y'all, I believe there is so much more to come. I can tell just from the tidbits. But anyway, let me get back to the comments, and then I'm gonna have to check out for the night, y'all. But I'm gonna try to get to the end of the comments, and then we gonna say our closing words and get out of here. The food was nasty when we went for a few years ago. It's too much sugar. Somebody I heard was reviewing, and they was like, who puts sugar in greens? And I was like, they put sugar in their greens? I can't remember if I had the greens. I can't remember. I'm more of a mac and cheese and catfish kind of person. Okay, that's somebody talking to somebody else. I'm gonna go real quick, y'all. So forgive me if I skip too quick. I'm just trying to see if there's anything for me to answer. I believe they were open 6 days a week. Yeah, they used to be open 6 days a week. I do know that because when I first tried to go to Sweetie Pies, I don't know, 2016, 17, whatever that was. I tried to go to the Mangrove location, and they had 45 minutes till closing, and they wouldn't let us in. I was like, this is so ghetto. I think they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't let us dine in. And then they were also saying something like when you looked at the line or something, it was barely anything there. It was something crazy. And we ended up, like, the following day or so, we ended up going to the upper crust location because we were here like on vacation, me and some friends. Miss Robbie knows what Tim done, and I feel she was aware of. Okay, I'm not doing those. Sorry, that I'm not doing that. I'm curious if down the line Charles or Robbie will do a sit-down interview after all this is over. Yeah, I'm not sure about you. For those of you who may not know, I did a video recently on Charles, like him doing a Instagram live with one of his friends, and he basically said he wouldn't read the comments, but he was saying, I see what y'all saying in the comments, and I'm not gonna say much, but I'm gonna say I agree. So to me, that was saying he's agreeing with everybody calling Tim the scum of the earth. I'm just not sure about Ms. Robbie, and I just won't put my mouth on that at this point. I just won't, because she didn't ask to be in this situation. I honestly don't believe that she has anything to do. I don't. Some of you have different opinions, and that's totally fine. But until I have proof, until they show me something, and I'm at the trial now, until I see some evidence that says she definitely has something to do. And I know I read the text message where she didn't really acknowledge it, but I also see how she was frustrated with the situation, and she did think that Andre had something to do. It's a whole thing. I'm gonna leave that alone for now. We'll talk about that when we have more answers. I just don't want to. Oh, and thank you for this, Roxy Love. Vel, it's 1,300 people up in here. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And please remember to hit that like button and let the likes reflect that viewership. But yeah, right now I'm just delaying my comments on that piece of it, besides what I've already said in other videos. Chef is definitely fine as wine. Only 107, and it looks at this building like sardines. Let's hit that like. Yeah. Let's hit that like. Hit the like. Thank you guys for reminding our good people to hit that like. I will never eat at Sweetie Pies, no matter what the verdict is. And that's, everyone has their right to do that. I'm not judging anyone for that at all. That's right. Chi-Town, share my love. It is a lot. It is a whole lot. That's why I had to come to y'all tonight, because I'm like, there's no way I could recap a week of this. It's hard to keep up with the stuff that's just been coming out, with the motions and all of that. That's why you guys don't see me doing those sort of videos, because it's too much. I can't personally create content quite like that that fast. Just read the super chats. Is that a reminder from earlier? I don't know. Forgive me. I'm learning, people. It's a lot. I got 1,000 strangers watching me. Look at me about to knock my table over. How Tim baby mama mother was looking. She wasn't, well, I don't think she was there. I'm pretty sure she was not there. I'm pretty sure she wasn't there. Because I would have recognized her. So no, she wasn't there. Thank you, Felicia Thomas. I really appreciate the super chat. Super sticker. Not supporting her so she can help Tim, not happening. I know, I do agree with that. I get why people would say that. I would hate to be in that position, because I know I would slip and Google something. Oh yeah, as far as being a juror and you're not supposed to write, even outside of court, breaks, et cetera, et cetera. He's like, stay away from it. He was like, the judge was telling them, really don't watch the news at all. Don't read anything, because you may slip up into that story. It might be something that leads you into that. He said, like, if you're interested in the story and the coverage, have your family and friends save that stuff, so after the trial you can catch up. But he said the truth is, if you're here, you ain't gonna have no questions, because you're gonna know everything. And based on today, he is right. They ain't gonna have no questions. Thank you, RN Smith. BM wasn't in court. Yeah, I don't know. This person might have been there. Was it Caramel Butterfly? But yeah, the baby mama wasn't there. Yes, Tim was in court. Neither one of them was right. They'll go to Sweetie Pies just to get the vibe now. What's the buzz? Is anyone talking about the trial? Yeah, we'll see. I might do a little field trip. I am gonna. Well, I want to. I like to keep stuff to myself, so I didn't tell y'all I was coming here, and I knew months ago my plan was to be here. So, but just stay tuned. I got some surprises for y'all. So, sorry, but they're going to put you out of the court for this video. No, they will not. I'm media, but thank you for your concern. You need to go to bed. Sitting in court can be, yeah, all day. It is. Yes. And I am about to go to bed. I just want to acknowledge as many comments as I can. The judge don't know about Sweetie Pies or anybody associated with the show. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Judges have to appear very impartial, and I can't say that he did or said anything as of yet. That's a little like spam right there. I can't say that he did anything or said anything as of yet that gave any inkling that he may know what's happening, like who these people really are, which is him doing his job, to be honest. So what were Tim's lawyer's opening statement? I kind of gave a quick little overview of that, and I'll do a more in-depth pre-recorded video that'll give more specifics and be definitely way more organized and have some visuals for you guys as well. People feel like Miss Robert knew. Talked about his physical appearance at the beginning of this live. So just hit the rewind and you'll get the update on that. I kind of gave details on that. Sweetie Pies in Jackson, Mississippi is not good at all and overpriced. Just saying, we from the South, no good. So that is true. My people's from the South too, so I know good food. Just a side note, if you didn't hit the like button, the number will be stuck on your, you won't see it. There you go. Thank you. Please remember to hit that like button. We're almost near the end. Sweetie Pies has nothing to do with what Tim allegedly did. Don't encourage people to punish the restaurant employees. That's another perspective. Thank you, Lee Gill. We appreciate how hard you're working. I thank you so much for acknowledging that this is harder than many people think it is. That's normal. What happened? Not 100% sure. I'm behind on comments. So sounds correct. The life insurance company won't pay out if you are a suspect. Yes, thank God they won't. And thank God he was. Yes, I agree with that too. I'm not gonna say it, but I agree with it. Uh the underwriters shouldn't have approved it. They did not. So that's good. Well, I guess maybe you mean the initial policy, maybe. I'm not sure. But if you mean the initial policy, from what we know, they forged a lot of things. There's a lot of false information. I don't know. I don't know. And some of that was definitely covered by the government uh, in the opening statement. So I'm sure they're going to dig into that. Because Tim's attorney tried to say that pretty much YL forged everything and did it all on his own, like without Tim's permission or knowledge. We know that not to be true because we see the text messages. He's dumb. That money is on hold. Right. Well, that money gone. They ain't never giving him that. I always believe the insurance company tipped off the police. Now look, possibly. Not gonna say that. Hey, Chronicle Speaks. Hey, did Miss Robbie get her money? You know, that wasn't they didn't elaborate on that piece of it. Miss Robbie is slated to supposedly testify as well. I don't know if they'll get into it, but trust me, whatever her testimony is, I'm probably gonna sit here and reenact verbatim and probably put on the little blonde wig and everything for y'all. So, but yeah, as of yet, they did not get into that. And love your content, Chronicle Speaks. Love it. I look for it. Every time a video of hers pops up on my suggested, I'm on it. I watch them right away. So definitely y'all subscribe to Chronicle Speaks as well. What does it say? Good way to get caught up. The insurance companies investigate to extent as well. Right. All you all, it's hard to find employees. Hotels can barely keep staff. I have a friend that works at Pepsi. They are begging employees to come work. They offer them an extra $100 to come show up. Yeah, I mean, we see that all over the place. Now, any of us, like I'm a person who really loves to travel and go out to eat, and service everywhere now is suffering everywhere. So thank you, pandemic. I don't know where everybody at. Everybody can't still be living off these PPP loans. Like, where y'all at? But all money should go to his mother and family. Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens with, if there are going to be any next step. People are talking about, should there be wrongful death suits and all these other things. So we'll see. Yeah, clear. Yes, people do. I ain't reading all that. Y'all ain't getting me in trouble. But yes, people do build wealth on life insurance. This is a thing that many of us were not educated to do, and I wish I knew at an earlier age. This person says Chronicle Speaks. I'm quite sure that she got her insurance payout. I will just say, just the way that they glossed over Miss Robbie and Michelle Griggs having life insurance policies on Andre, it was almost as if they would just say, like, well, they got them too, like, and as if they got paid out, and not so much, like they're suspects from their insurance policies or anything. So I'm not gonna be able to catch up with all these comments, y'all. I can just tell. Let's see. Why are so many people getting life insurance on people who are not totally immediate family? Miss Robbie was grandmother. Tim was uncle. Did mom? Yeah, mom had one. Michelle Griggs definitely had a life insurance policy. That's actually more normal than most people think. Again, we aren't necessarily taught to do that, but other people, as some people have said in the comments, are taught to do that. Yeah, Chronicle Speak says he got plotted on by his father's whole family. I'm just gonna wait to see when things come out in this hearing, and as they come out, then I'll feel more free to say some things that I think that I'm hesitant to say now, because I ain't trying to be in no defamations. Thank you, Cynthia Whiting. Um, the devil really had Tim thinking he was going to get away with what he had done to Andre. Very sad. Yeah, and the devil obviously has him still thinking on some level he going to get away with it. Because honestly, this morning, the people I was talking to, I was like, why are we even here? Like, we know what this is. Like, he's wasting the court's time. He's wasting resources. He's wasting all these people in his time. He just should have pled guilty, taken some level of a plea, maybe only one life sentence versus the 15 he needs. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna go to the very, very, very bottom because these comments will be more in line with where I'm talking about. But it looks like you guys are mostly there you go. Thank you. That's a great place to end this. Nourish, Tracy Harrell, Nourish and Rest. We'll be here again with you tomorrow. I appreciate all of you for joining me. However many of you, because I didn't pull it up on my other device, but however many of you that are here, I really appreciate you for supporting me. Please remember to hit that like button, share this video. It does more than you ever will know. So with that, until next time, until I upload the next video or go live again, I should say, which will be tomorrow. I'm not sure what time. It might be a little earlier than this, but it all kind of depends on how court goes tomorrow. It starts, I don't think I said yet, but tomorrow court starts at 8:45 a.m. And so, depending on how long it goes and if I, need to rest or something, it'll be either a little earlier than this or this exact same time. So we'll see. But either way, I'll put it up as a whatever you call it. My brain is fried. So I'll put a notification out. But with that, until next time, you guys take care. Be blessed. Thank you. And peace.